Hey folks, hello everybody. Thank you for joining our meeting today. So before we start, we're just going to do a round of intros. So I'll start with myself. My name is Xavier Espana. I'll be facilitating, helping with note-taking and translating to Spanish.
Hi everybody, Raymond here with Debug. I'm formerly incarcerated. I'm here to help facilitate, note-take, and offer any advice I can.
Just a reminder, we go in the order of the list. So the way that you answered will go in that order. We're going to start off by calling out all the names that we see in the Zoom, and we're going to ask you to state who you're here supporting. And then once we have the list established, we'll go ahead and start the meeting.
I just felt like everything was going to go downhill. My place was going to be lost. I was going to be disconnected from my family. I was never going to see my kids again. And I was just going to be in jail for the rest of my life because all of my family let me know that the charges that I were facing was 25 years to life. So I felt like there was no way that I was going to be able to come back home. I was not represented by anyone. I didn't have a public defender. They didn't issue me a public defender. I had to get a paid attorney that I paid $10,000 to, that he did no work. I was being denied bond, off rip. I sat for about 3-4 months, and my first arraignment, I was denied bond. They gave me a $100,000 bond, and that's where I found out about bar business. And so my mother contacted them for me. I sent her the number, and they let my mom know that on Mother's Day, I was going to be bailed out, Mother's Day of 2022, that I was going to be bailed out, and they followed through with what they said. They ensured that I had money on my books so I can be able to reach out to family, reach out to them. They attended court. They signed their name off saying that they will be responsible for me. So once I got out, I went to their housing where, I stayed up under them. I did volunteer work. I made sure I could give back what was given to me.
Nia, she's one of our core members now. During certain calls with other family members, she would chime in and give her advice of things she went through with her case. And she was like, well, why don't you try this? Or, hey, I looked this up, and maybe you should call and try to see if this will help with your case. And one of her key strengths are attention to detail. So she's our in-house discovery expert.
If I could give a message to people that are going through the things that I'm going through or have gone through, what I'm going through is to not give up and always fight for yourself. Give it your biggest fight. Keep God with you and know that it's going to get hard before it gets easy. Things will get tough before it gets smooth. Just don't give up. Don't give up on yourself. It's people out in the world that need you, especially if you have kids, your mom, dad still alive. It's people out in the world that need you. So fight for yourself because you deserve it.
Mis cargos que yo tenía eran algo muy serios, por lo cual lo dije de un principio que pues yo pensé que pues ya no iba a salir más de la cárcel. O sea, yo estaba ya esperando prisión por mis cargos que eran pues tenía 9 felonías.
My dad and I came to Debug back in 2018, when his allegations first came forward. I started coming to the meetings, 7 years ago almost. Every week we would put up Reynaldo's name on the board. We would see all these other families, erasing their names, similar situations as us, and be like, wow, I hope one day that can be us.
Yes.
At the time, I didn't know it, but just working with Debug and learning more about bail hearings, I've come to realize that winning a bail hearing isn't actually something that's that easy, especially given the charges that he was facing at the time. It was pretty much like a long shot for him to actually be released on community supervision. But I think what really helped us too was showing that community support, showing, that he wasn't going to be a flight risk, creating a schedule from 8 in the morning all the way to 5 p.m., 6 p.m., 8 p.m., showing that he was going to be busy throughout his day. Once we won that bail hearing, it was actually a really long process. It took a total of 7, almost 8 years for him to actually get his charges dismissed. Well, to start off, we were attending the participatory defense meetings every week. We were given the opportunity to dive a little bit deeper in how to fight his case. As our next steps, you know, in the meetings, was reviewing the police reports, comparing them also to the prelim transcripts when that time came as well. And I think the biggest one that really helped us in this situation was working on a plan of how to present my dad's case to the DA. That was something we were really pushing for, which was for a dismissal from the DA to show, you know, who my dad really was, basically trying to prove his innocence at the end of the day, showing that he wasn't this person that they're charging him to be. Leading up to the news of, you know, the decision of my dad's case, we were already in communication with his attorney, Emanuela. She was going to present his case, and now we were waiting on a decision, and that the DA was going to give us the decision the day of his court hearing. I believe it was a day before court when Emanuela called me and she said that the DA decided to drop the charges.
They're gonna dismiss the charges.
Cuando me dijo escuché esa noticia de la juez o el juez que pues quitaban mis cargos, me arrodillé y pedí nada más, le agradecí a Dios.
All right, up next we have Reynaldo. But it's a special meeting today. Muy especial hoy. Para borrar el nombre.
Definitely very grateful for everybody at Debug who supported us in this journey. Shout out to Ceci, Andrew, our attorney, Manuela, you know, Raj, Sharice, everyone. We love you. We couldn't have done it without you.
I don't know if everyone here knows, but this was 7 years, $2 million bail. Fought back, got that reduced to get him out. Worked with his attorney, came to the meetings, came to all our rallies. Was facing the rest of his life in prison.
Yeah.
And got all the charges dismissed. Man. For all that time.
Muchas gracias a la familia Debug y a todas las organizaciones, y pues que sigan en sus procesos y que no se den por vencidos. Ánimo, sí se puede, y un abrazo a todos y bendiciones.
I was on my way to a job and I got a phone call. But right before I got that call, there was something dropped in my spirit about James. And I had recently moved to Memphis. He stayed in Middle Tennessee. And there was a young lady that called to let me know that James had been arrested along with several other folks. Being in the social service field, I'm used to resources, reaching out to people, knowing who to call. I was stuck. Literally, my brain shut down. I didn't know where to start, who to call, how to check on him in that moment. His bond was $500,000. We could not afford anything close to that. And he also, needed an attorney, couldn't afford to get him an attorney. So for 3 years, James sat in jail, reached out to Raheem Buford with Unheard Voices, and he immediately told me about Free Hearts, told me about advocating for my son. So meeting you, Dawn, Free Hearts, coming into starting on those participatory defense calls, that very first night, I knew then I found my people. And I also knew, Jacola, that I needed to help. And it became immediately not just about James for me. It was about everybody. One of the very first things I learned coming into the space of participatory defense, really that it was a community organizing model. Like I immediately got that. If James had a court date coming up, which he did, we would just communicate it in the chat. We would communicate it. We would send it out. It would be put on calendars and people would show up and come. Sometimes the people we didn't know. It was people from participatory defense that we had not met in person. So seeing that community come together, it was amazing to me. And it happened for 3 years. We had the support, even going to court to have the source hearing and the bond reduction hearing. That is a high bond. Have you talked to them about trying to reduce your bond? These things we never thought about. So definitely things we were learning as we were moving through the process. And then, Jacola, I have to say this. When we weren't sure what was happening with the bail, we didn't know. The judge had us there all freaking day long. And we were outside and y'all were talking over on the steps. Tamika and I didn't know what was going on. We didn't know anything. And for you all, it was like the best gift ever when you said, hey, we have some bail funds money, and I think we would be able to support your family. That was amazing for us. That was everything for the both of us. Even when we got really toward the very end of the case where there was we had no idea what was going to happen. We didn't know if he was going to get a plea deal. We didn't know if we were going to have to go to trial. There were 6 other people involved. We were struggling with, are you going to sever the case? So all of these things, every time we came on the call, I would be reminded of, these are the things you need to be following up on. This is what you should be reaching out to the attorney saying. What ultimately happened, and I was really kind of pushed to do this, I said to the attorney, you never asked me about James. Like, you don't even know who he is. You don't know anything about him. But that was part of the story that I was being pushed to tell through putting together the packet. And so I was able to take some of the information that, I was helped to collect by Dagan, send it to the attorney. He laid it out for the DA, and the DA specifically said, this information helped me make this decision for your son. And he actually did get the best possible outcome for his case. And it was based on that. The outcome he received was a 15-year sentence with 30% before he was eligible for parole. The day we went to court in August, the day he learned this is the offer that they're considering, we left court that day in Rutherford County, drove an hour or so to Nashville, which is where Brianna, his fiance, was living. Stopped at her mom's house with her. We stayed overnight and we got up the next morning to leave. But James shared with her what the potential outcome was. We made it back to Memphis. James went to work and she went into preterm labor. So he had to literally leave work and turn around and go back to Nashville. That to me was so wonderful that he was able to still be home, still be out, and to be able to be there with her. He was able to stay home with them until he had to physically go inside. But another significant thing about that, Amir was born, of course, premature, so she was little bitty. And we asked the attorney, y'all guided us, ask the attorney, can James, because they were thinking about him probably going in October. Can he stay home a little bit, give her some time to get stronger? Well, the attorney did speak with the prosecutor, and he said, yeah. Matter of fact, he said he can stay home until December. Well, we went back to court in October because he had not yet accepted or signed the plea agreement. Went back in October, he signed the plea agreement. And then at that time, they agreed to allow him to stay until the first of the year. So all of those blessings, we count them, happen.
That's amazing, Jada. So I know he was looking at 60 years max originally. So how much time was saved in all, Jada?
45 years. 45 years, Jacola.